and yet get different results. Now, baby, if you want something different, you gotta do something different. He sent him off to hang around Jethro out there in a place called Midian. And then in due season, God met him on the backside of a mountain. He called him out of a burning bush, a bush that was on fire but didn't burn up. It was a flame, but it wasn't consumed. Somebody ought to understand this morning, you don't have to be afraid of a holy fire. It's fire, but it won't burn you up. Jeremiah said it's like fire shut up in my bones. I can feel it in my hands. I can feel it in my feet. I can feel it all over me. Yet the Bible says that he met him in a burning bush, spoke to him, told him, I've called you out for my divine purpose. I'm sending you back to the house you grew up in, and I want you to tell the man who paid your bill, I said to let my people go. And look at here, Moses said, look, Lord, I don't mean no harm, but you don't know him like I know him. I've lived with him. I know he's crazy. I know he wants to have his way, and when he can't have his way, he'll take anybody out that gets in his way. I know him. I've lived with him. He's taught me his own stuff. But God said, boy, don't you know who I am? I am that I am. And I know this is not a theology class, but let me tell you something, Greater Bethel, whatever you need, God is. I don't care when you need it, how you need it, how much of it you need it. If you call on him, he'll answer you. The Bible says that he picked Moses up, straightened him up, and finally Moses said, Lord, I'm not going to be a good representative because I can't talk straight. I've got a problem with my speech. And God said, that ain't nothing. I got somebody that'll speak for you. He said, as a matter of fact, the way I am to you, God to you, you're going to be to him. And you're going to tell him what I tell you, and he'll do it. Let me tell you something, Greater Bethel. God taught me something just in that verse. He said, Michael Broadnax, you can't do it all. You might be pastor, you might be preacher, but I never intended for you to do the ministry by yourself. What you do is I tell you what to do, you tell the people what to do, and the work will get done. Oh, I'm feeling this thing in here. The Bible said God had erased all of his excuses, and so he and his brother Aaron go up to Pharaoh, and they say to Pharaoh, God said, let my people go. Pharaoh, you know, he was hard-headed. He had a little problem with understanding. He had a little problem with not having his way, and so God gave Pharaoh and the children of Israel some signs. The first sign was that rod that Moses had, that he gave to Aaron, that when he threw it down, somebody say throw it down. When he threw it down, it turned into a serpent. The magicians of Egypt tried to emulate the miracle, and so they threw their little rods down, and they too turned into snakes. It looked like it was a Mexican standoff, but God's always got the upper hand, because Aaron's rod that turned into a snake started eating up their snakes. And I'm here to tell you that the enemy might be able to duplicate, but he can never create like God does. Are y'all gonna pray with me in this place? Yeah, he sent Aaron's rod that turned into a snake, and then he had Aaron to touch that rod to the liquid waters of the Nile, and the Nile turned into blood, killing all animals and vegetation close to the bank. That didn't get Pharaoh's attention, he sent frogs and gnats and flies, all to make life miserable for Pharaoh and the people of Egypt. But Pharaoh still wouldn't do what God told him to do. Isn't it strange how God can spank you a little bit and spank you a little bit more and spank you some more, and you still act like I'm grown, I can do what I want to do? And God says, all right, have it your way. You want some more, I'll give you some more. And so this time God puts a blight on all the livestock, all the cattle. Everything became diseased and died, except this time he separated. And the only livestock that died was the livestock that belonged to Egypt. But in Israel's camp, livestock was living large and growing big, and then he sent boils on all the Egyptians. And let me tell you something, it might not sound like much, but a boil is a painful thing. And when you got it all over your body and they're inflamed and infected and begin to ooze, y'all getting the picture, aren't you? It gets real bad, and all the Egyptians were covered in boils, but not God's children. God separated them, and they were left and healthy and whole. Then Pharaoh still wouldn't listen. God sent thunder and hailstorms. I mean, not your average everyday summer storm. This was a storm of storms. The hail was so large that it destroyed crops. It killed people. It destroyed property. It was a major thunder and hailstorm, but not over there where the Israelites lived. No, everything was fine. Sun was shining. Crops were still growing and prospering, because God is able, in the midst of the same geographical location, to separate. I wish I had a witness in here. That's why Grandmama and them used to sing, Jesus, build a fence all around me every day. I got to go on the same job. I got to ride the same bus. I got to go in the same chaos, but protect me as I travel along the way. I know you can. I know you will fight my battles if I just keep still. Yeah. He sent it, but they still, Pharaoh still wouldn't change his heart. So everything that the hail didn't destroy, God sent locusts, and they destroyed the rest of Egypt's crop. But Pharaoh was still grown. Now I ain't gonna let God's people go. And so he gives a divine blackout. Darkness covered everything in Egypt. I don't know if they couldn't flick their bics. I don't know if they couldn't rub two stones or sticks together. I don't know what the problem was, but there was darkness all over the land of Egypt. But over there in Goshen, where the children of Israel were living, baby, the lights were flowing and shining bright, because God knows how to protect his folk. He was building their faith. He was letting them know, I've got your back. I have ordained your release. I'm with you. I'm going to bring your deliverance, and you don't have to fear. And so finally, when Pharaoh still wouldn't listen, you know what he did? God sent the death angel over Egypt. He sent an angel that killed every firstborn animal, every firstborn plant, every firstborn child, every firstborn male child died in Egypt. But while Egypt was having funerals, Israel was having a Passover. And somebody don't even know when to shout in here, because while the world is going crazy, God still has a Passover blessing. While everybody on your street is losing their mind, God still got a Passover blessing. He can